Evening, July 18th, Barrington Plan. Well, just roll call, starting with Donna, please. Hey, reviewing.
LOI.
Here, I. Well, updates from the town planner.
A couple things to know. Next week with the subcommittee, at the community day, and that training opportunity. Webinars about also don't have it here. Plug in for Z. Anybody,
Anybody in the audience?
anybody that's
Talk to that
interested.
meeting?
Um,
Okay, thank you. Public hearing. Oh, wow.
Mr. Chairman, tonight, and should, this is up for public.
Indeed.
That's all, just the
Okay.
question. Don't see anybody online. Starting the update.
I guess we'll close. Thank you. Good job.
Like, I'm not sure. No, the one that has.
Take care. Thank you. Item number 6. Application for Young Road. Continued until. Seven, you have a Up two. Three.
Chris, don't forget to press the.
Good evening, how are you? So for the record, my name is beginning, I guess. So as they know, as being residents, second Crown. Essentially, eight, and so doing, endeavoring to be itself. We're proposing city. So we're here tonight, because of that is, I'd imagine there's that are in my efficient with the left. So we are Packer should be situated. We are in the commercial use. Because we're commercial use. So we filed for commercial use. Big difference between commercial use. Conditional use permit. How this will be. Sure. Sure. Maybe. Just got permission from my grant. So I guess, I'd be. Just shy of 30. So a residential system.
think the potential commercial category based on the sign.
Cut you off, but it's pretty.
Did I read this correctly?
Means
We have a limit of
are what height limit? Pretty
Jeff says you pretty much, he's earned that credibility, but when he did it, I'd say. They were tracking.
Just the panels.
Like to accept.
Read
Yeah.
structure use authorized will comply with drive-through. Building structure will not use structure use structure or use tracker will not have substantial building structure or use tracker will not have a substantial adverse natural environment that is in use
Okay, any further questions? Open.
Jesse, right?
Yeah. I think there's anything else. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Barrington Planning Board, July 11th. Approve the application referenced above of a conditional permit to install a tracker that is in the side rear yard to offset the power needs of the application has met all the town ordinances and regulations. Wish you the best of luck with the project. Oh, I apologize, July 18th. Make sure the green.
Okay, the green light's on.
Thank you.
I'm Joe Sweeney, property of 14 Kelly Lane. Devin Beckwith and I have discussed renovating the single wide that is there. Decided on the double wide, find that road agent has inspected the road. Couple of suggestions. Portion shoulder on either side. Like a waiver. Not have to widen the road. Multiple maintenance project. Show that the road shape. (16 feet) tire length, shoulders. Problem shoulders. Still 16 culvert there. Lengthen this back to wetland. It's my Justin provoke dump trucks up. Trucks are loaded. Signed an application down saying issue would fire truck. Have to get in. Question that you filling is.
Fire chief made it.
Essentially, the hands out.
Point is the traffic much. Paving of the safety improvement. Truck attempts to leave the gravel gain onto.
Paving.
Talking about 50. Been done in a few.
One of the end of a temporary. More than willing to do it.
Is you would agree to do the work and you could start building, couldn't get your CO until whatever the work is that. Just so you understand.
Like in that can.
Case, I think, staff.
Follow,
Everybody agree
to
with
adhere
what Ron
to the
said?
comment. Don't recommend the applicant. Or
Scope of work would be based upon
Looking for the applicant to prepare. Certified.
layout, what he's got.
You want to,
And show exactly what
waiving the
the,
requirement.
and show exactly what the cost is to see.
Thank you.
C. Request for a building permit, for Kevin M. Roy. 70 lot. Hello.
Kevin Roy. Thank you for your time and consideration for me, opportunity to present my case. Yeah, it is, yeah. Basically, we're looking to, build a single-family home. Murray Properties, 20 acre, that borders Valley Lane. And, because it's a class 6 road, obviously, this part of the road is actually in pretty good shape. Except for where it meets Route 4. That clearly has to be opened up. There's a short, small-sized, culvert that has to be replaced there. There's a couple more French drains up near where the driveway would be that need to be installed by the power company. But those have been basically destroyed over the past 2 years between last year, clearing brush and timber, also replacing 2 of the towers, and then they just recently get done replacing 2 more towers down on the power lines, which is actually on my, under the power lines. So basically, I know the standard is a 16, 2 and 2, a class 6 road. I'm going on option 1, basically say, and 10% construction cost of the house. Going to equate, it's not exact because we're time and material, but the house is going to be $900,000. To spend I'm going to easily could exceed that, without a doubt. I've already invested a fair amount of time and money just cleaning up the road, clearing some of the trees on both sides, down. Just grading the road over the past year and kind of maintaining it already. I have equipment up on site. Invested, $72,000 in a tractor, grader blades, box blades, everything, quite a big heavy plow to maintain the road. So that's really not an issue. I tend to, take responsibility for a road maintenance agreement, deeds. It's going to be very difficult to make that road 16, 2 and 2, $90,000. Not a doable. So what I'm asking for is basically make the road so it's certainly safe. Again, the front part of the road is in good shape. It needs drainage swales, which I perfectly intend on doing. Placing the culvert, culvert up front, up, bring it up, placing the 2 drainage swales down near the drive. There's one before it and there's one after it. I'll replace that, widen it as best I can. Sub-gravel. It's actually base to start with because that road is a power company, get access from the back there. So it's a great spot to actually this kind of work and have a passable road. There's only one area of concern because there is the, when the drainage swales, the French drains are working properly, there's really no water on that. The swales are pitched properly. It drains it right out because they've been kind of mashed from all the very heavy equipment. There's been some standing water. Normally that's not there, but it's still considered a wetland, not prime wetland or anything. It's really seasonal drainage, and like when there's really heavy rain like we've having, there's some water that normally drains out, but there's standing water. So in that particular area, it's very difficult to make a 16, 2 and 2 without putting a major jog in the road, getting literally onto the neighbor's property. To try to get equipment, fire engines in and out of there and have that jog like that, it's just not a safe or practical thing. Plowing it and maintaining it. Better to have that straight road, have an area where you can push the snow off without, staying on the road. So basically what I'm proposing is to take that $90,000 and do what's cost effective that makes sense to make the road safe. And it's a good base now. I can widen it, put the sub base in, gravel it, some, shoulders the best I can, drainage swale, pretty much the whole length of the road. Right now, I wouldn't even call them swales. They were hand dug by one of the neighbors effectively. So they're not pitched properly, not where they need to be. So I'm proposing to basically put the correct swales in, pitch them properly, get the culverts in, get the road, as best I can. But again, it's not feasible to go 16, 2 and 2. This is a class 6 road that is, there's nobody beyond us down there. It's basically the conservation land is 2,000 acres of conservation land across the road from us. Over time, I plan on kind of improving that area because there is a couple of spots down there where there's another French drain further down that really need to be addressed. I've been going up there recently trying to clean those French drains up and loosen them up so they would flow again. It's better, but it's still not sufficient by any. The culverts absolutely need to be. So I have long-range plans as well for, like I say, I do maintain that road normally. So I'm thoroughly familiar with it now. So I just ask that you take your consideration to.
Okay,
I
so
can
you,
vary from the standard.
but 10% does meet policy. You don't have, if you go 10% route, you're meeting the policy. You don't have to get the road up to 16.2 and 2. You
Well,
put
that's-
in 10%.
That's my intent, but like, I want the road safe as well. I want to make sure that this is.
Well, if you do 10%, that's a policy, you're good.
Okay.
But you have to put together a scope of work and estimated cost that addresses the concerns of the fire chief and the road.
Like,
10%
if
is
you don't
fine.
mind, I can address, I have bullet points on, just to address.
We're looking for written. We're looking for a written scope value that addresses the concern agent in up to 10%. So that meets the policy, good to go. You don't have to get the road up to 16, 2 and 2.
Okay.
If you spend 10%, that's the policy. You're good.
Save all your receipts.
Okay.
Everything which you,
I haven't submitted a
obviously you
policy,
would do,
know,
but
I've-
You did the work yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of the work myself. I have access to excavator and everything, but I'm also, where need be, I'm gonna have somebody, come.
The microphone.
leave it, just leave it.
I
Any
do
more
have a question,
questions?
Yes.
because the road agent talks about being able to turn emergency.
Yeah, like, again, if you don't mind, I could hit a couple of these bullet points just to clarify that. So, the turnaround, basically there's a 60, I'm planning on putting a 60-foot just beyond the driveway. It's probably 70 feet just beyond the driveway. I know you really have to maintain 50 feet beyond, but about 70 feet, I can do a 60-foot turnaround down there. When you go on the property, you take a left onto the driveway, maybe 80 feet in, there's another spot where there's gonna be a hammerhead, 60-foot hammerhead turnaround. Initially, you're gonna use that for staging a lot of the gravel and everything else. That's planned to be a gravel turnaround there as well, so if they had to back down for whatever reason, they could turn around there. Planned driveway for the house itself is actually a circular driveway. So when so they wouldn't even have to, once they come up on the property, there's a circular turnaround at the front of, they can go drive straight out. Either way, there's one at the bottom of the driveway, so what would be one at the end of the, 75 feet beyond where the highway meets Holly Lane, there's a turnaround there as well. There's really no issue with, I had talked to the road agent and as well as the fire chief and explained it in his official stance as an agent of the town is, my official stance, it has to be, has to be 16, 2 and 2. Personally, it may be something different, but he says, I can't say what's going to be allowed and what's acceptable, that his stance as a fire chief needs to comply with our town standard. That's why you're going before the board to basically present your case and make sense. He goes, I'll abide by exactly what they feel it's, it's proper, that's what we abide by. So the turnaround shouldn't be an issue. Accessibility was another thing he brought up. Again, I've already, made it, sign a road maintenance agreement. I'll sign any other waivers I need to, stating that I'm responsible for the road. I fully planned on it right from day one. Have the equipment already. I've been plowing it already. Done some grading of the surface. Keep it really more so for my neighbor because there's already one house on that road. So I've already been kind of taking care of it. Town engineers. One of the other comments was to work with the town engineer to make sure that it's proper. There's enough base and, it's going to be safe for heavy equipment to go over it. And I fully intend on doing that. Reading the standards. Another question was, why don't I use this a row that comes off the property that goes out to Route 4. Well, unfortunately with that one, it's really cost prohibitive, for a number of reasons. It's written in our deed because this was a development originally. It's written into the deed that if we use that to maintain that 400-foot line of sight coming out onto the state highway, I have to basically, move the signage for yellow dog kennels that are right there, build them a paved driveway, effectively road into behind their facility, and build them a parking lot. As well as the terrain there is very, very difficult to put a drive. It's a 550-foot driveway to go up into, where the house would be. And as well as I have to excavate and install a retaining wall on I guess that would be the west side of the driveway. And again, that would be a 12-foot wide driveway. It's kind of counter logic to say that would be safer. 500-foot, 12-foot drive would be safer than going on an already 13 to 14-foot wide road. That's properly, it's a road. I'm going to road standard rather than like a driveway standard. So there's a number of reasons why that's just really not a doable option, as well as selfish reasons that if I open up that driveway, I now have a noise corridor coming from Route 4. Summer, that's a big deal. Winter, obviously it doesn't make that much difference, but there's the cost and just a lot of the issues. It's much harder to actually maintain a 12-foot wide driveway for plowing and everything else, and I have to do push-offs where it is than maintaining a 14-foot road as it kind of stands now. So that's really not a really good option at this point. One of the other ones was the encroachment. I think I've pretty much already just made note of that. There is basically enough, room in there to make a wider road, but it's just, I'm going to way exceed the cost of it. There's only that one spot where it would have to neck down to probably 13 feet. Where it goes by the water that's on the left right before the driveway. It's about 60 to 80 feet before the driveway. So I'm asking that, if I can just kind of narrow it down a little bit in that one section. That's probably about a 15-foot section. The vast majority of the road is certainly out where it's already improved, is like 14 feet wide, 13 to 14, a couple spots are 15 feet wide. I was up there last week and profiled the road, so it got all measurements at all the key points all along it.
Could you point out the pull-offs that you're planning on putting into? I think that makes a big difference.
Sorry, say again?
The pull-offs that you were planning on putting in?
Yes,
I think that makes a big difference.
One of the other comments was, money permitting, I'd like to look at maybe doing pull-offs. Again, the idea is to have the ability for 2 fire engines or safety vehicles to be able to pass each other on the road. 14 feet, can't really do that. You could do it, but not real safely. Is to put a couple of pull-offs along that road it would be on the west side of the road going in and out. Just to pull off so the engines, if something has to pass, they can pull off to that, pass, and then continue on their way. That's another option. And funds permitting. I mean, that's not as costly, but that's another option to be able to get around. Basically to meet the spirit of the standards, basically.
And how about a paved apron as it meets Route?
There actually is one already there. I'm not sure if it's 15 feet deep. Holly Land already has a paved apron. The road itself, though, it necks down like right where that first culvert is. It necks down very narrow. It's way too narrow. It's got a very shallow. It's been crushed once already. PVC, a 10-inch PVC culvert. That has to be
Did
completely
make a
replaced.
note that you're gonna probably put in like 100 feet of HDPE.
Yeah, this is
inch.
basically 30-foot each culvert. The driveway.
Yep.
And the other 3 culverts on the road will be 30-foot road rated PVC. Well, we're actually building, if you look at Holly Lane, which heads north, we're actually pretty much on the southern end of the property. It extends another 1,500 feet beyond where, the property line begins and goes under the power lines and further. So we're kind of as close as we can. And it's kind of a pie shape, a wedge shape, so to get all the clearance and frontage, and there's a slight grade that goes up where the house is gonna be is on a knoll. Probably 200 feet, I think it is, from where the property line is in the south side of it to where the actual house is. The driveway will enter the property, taking a guess, I think it's 80 to, just taking a guess, 80 to 100 feet from where the property line begins. So we are really down as close as we can get. 24 acres. Yeah, it is. Well, that's what I'm saying. We're already down to that end of the property. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because if we start getting down, because again, it's wedge shaped, so we get any much closer, we're gonna start to encroach on, the boundaries, and we've already done the perk testing, you have the septic system design for where the house is gonna be. The driveway itself wouldn't change. With the location of the driveway, even if we move the house further down, the driveway stays like where it is. Well, you really can't move the house closer in the terrain. I'd be building on the side of a hill, basically. Yeah. I'm sorry, say again?
There's reasons why we have.
Oh, I absolutely, I understand. Mhm. Right.
That we not approve.
That's totally contrary to the policy.
As John says, the policy gives a pathway of 10%. As long as you comply with that, you're meeting the policy. Now, I think that there needs to be a scope of work and a fair market estimate of value for the budget. But other than that, I think, the 10% is a pathway. So I don't think we have the right to deny that. I think the theory is that if more people go on the road, everybody puts in 10%, the road continually gets upgraded. This is a nice house. Sign of the time.
It's our dream house that we're investing most of our savings in it. So.
You're putting 90 grand into the road. I mean, that's a big improvement.
No, we would be the last house as of now. I mean, if somebody decides there's 2 32-acre lots further down across from, but the power company owns the first one. The second one, I know the owner and basically has no intention to build on that. That's much further down. He uses it for food crops and hunting and things like that. So this is, yeah.
Great. But 10%. But 10% is the policy. So he's meeting the policy. And
I've driven truck most of my life, and I grew up around equipment, and a 10-foot driveway he could do that in a 14-foot road. If you're looking at public safety, that 14-foot road is going to be far superior than a 10-foot driveway.
Correct.
And then the turnaround where he's going past the end of his driveway, that's typically a turnaround like they did at Ron's. You drive past it, you back in, then you can drive out. So you're not backing out the whole road.
Right.
That backing into a turnaround and back out is the turnaround.
And the reality is if they're responding to, to my property, they're gonna drive up onto the property. You have a round turnaround, a circular drive right in front of that's obviously gonna be big enough for a fire engine to traverse. And there's gonna be a hammerhead turnaround at the bottom of the driveway. If they go in there for whatever reason, don't go to the house, there's a turnaround there, there's a turnaround on the road, so that should cover any of those issues.
Yeah, to me, this meets policy. I think the thing that doesn't meet it is the scope of work needs to be better defined. But other than that, I think, 10% is the policy, so. If he meets, we're in the business area, you're meeting the rules, he's meeting the rules.
Anything further? So I guess the recommendation would not be to approve category 3, option 1, but option 2. Which is his request, yeah, but it came in as a 1. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There is an option one, the 10%.
Yeah, we didn't get the change.
10% to option 2.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, yeah, that
You
was,
gave, that was the original application, then you came back and changed it afterwards,
Yes,
and
I
they got
did,
the
yes.
original one, because that was the one you started with?
yes, correct,
Okay.
yep. Yep. That's right, thank you.
Gonna do the full 10%, so.
Yeah, category 3. Yeah, so just on your, when you put together your scope of work, put dollar amounts with it to show how it meets at least the 90,000
Yeah,
of what you're gonna do.
kind of have it right now. It was just thrown together a spreadsheet, but I'll put it all together with, the specifics on it.
If you
Give
would
the-
like
Give the
to,
budget, address as many of
Yeah,
the points you
that's,
can.
yeah, that's
I
what,
mean, you can't address them all, you can only go so far with the budget. So you can't address all the concerns, you can't. But try to address the major ones is.
I want to make, be most cost effective.
Yeah.
Improve it the best we can. Everybody wins, the town wins, I win. And from what I understand, I think the Conservation Commission or somebody looking to do a parking lot down at the end of the road for, hiking into the conservation land there. I don't know if that's been discussed or,
We haven't heard of that one
They're a
yet.
mysterious group.
yeah, I've heard it from a couple different folks from the town that's a plan, but I was just curious if they knew anything beyond that.
Okay, so,
so if I'm hearing correctly, if I can, just reiterate, so you're making the recommendation that he's meeting the option 2 of the 10%. However, the category 3 option 2, however, the board like to him to provide a complete scope of work with the,
estimated.
estimated estimate.
Yeah, it has to be estimated. I mean,
Right.
I
We
won't
don't
know
know
until
if
I
it's
actually
right.
get into it, but
If you wanted to, I know that the planning board won't see it again, but if you have it pretty close to being done, I can submit it, because then our office, the land use office, submits it to the administration office at the next select board meeting. If you have it, should have said this to the
I'll
other
get it done this
too.
week.
You can
Probably
submit it,
tomorrow.
and I can wait until submit it till Thursday if you need be, but
Right, I'll get it done tomorrow.
I could put that in the memo that it was discussed at the meeting.
So we missed the timing, the meetings were kind of reversed, so I missed the last one and we're now into August and so I need to get this thing
Okay.
going,
Wanted to give you the option. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what the select board would say, but I hope they wouldn't delay it because of that, so.
I'll get it over to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Great. Any more questions or anything? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, let's,
House looks beautiful. House plan looks great.
yeah.
Thank you. It's been my dream my whole life, so I think it's finally coming to fruition. So very excited. I'm looking forward to being a townie, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
thank you.
We're gonna, she would like a little roll call on this.
Just here, right?
Yeah, all right.
Thanks again.
Great, thank you.
Take care. All right, finally, we have 8C. Review of a request for a bill. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Nope, it's fine.
The chairman.
Review of request for building permit for Dale and Sarah Andall on Long Shores Drive. It's map 101, lot 58. It's a class 3 on a class 5, class 6 and private road, just a category 3. But Not a 1 or a 2 or a.
Well,
or a-
he proposed no upgrades because it
Okay.
meets the 16-foot travel way with 2-foot shoulders. Actually, that probably up to his driveway is closer to 24
That's
feet
item
wide.
number H in your
So he basically already,
regulations
that
permit.
section of the road already conforms to the town's
Oh,
regulations,
okay,
is what it's.
And there's no option on that application for it.
right.
The road agent disagrees.
Well, he mentioned filling in potholes and stuff. He didn't have any issues with the width and stuff, which is actually in the regulations.
Well, the shoulders have to be, they support a fire truck, that's. So the road agent said it doesn't meet that fire policy.
The actual width of the pavement is 16, 18 feet wide. But on the right side going up the hill, the shoulder is non-existent.
There's a
That
little
supports the
washout.
weight of a loaded fire truck.
Little washout on that side where the pavement was, so that's what happened. But there is, I actually, last week, I put a couple feet of gravel there
Oh,
to
okay.
fill in where that washout was. So that way it's,
He hasn't mentioned the swale is too close to the road, but what
Yep.
are you gonna do? Move the swale? I mean,
that's the thing. Everything meets town policy. Yep.
When we got all that heavy rain, the right side of that had washed
Yeah,
out.
there is gravel. I put gravel on the side there because I had them when we were doing the driveway, put an extra half a load of gravel so I can gravel that right side going up the hill.
okay.
Yep.
Existing pavement should be paved and patched, I'm sorry, and the gravel surface graded to repair all construction associated damage, but.
Yeah, that's what he just wanted the grading done, but I think that's part of the association.
Yep.
Maintains that, does the grading and everything,
Right.
so.
The policy says shoulders should be. Agent is saying that's not the case.
Well, what happened is when we had that heavy rain, that shoulder on the right side had washed out and he repaired it. And that shoulder was there previous to that rainstorm. So that's been repaired because from the time the application was made to when the road agent looked at it is when we had that heavy rain with that.
Rainstorm.
Yeah.
Actually, this last storm we had today, I got home and some of that inch and a half got washed out. I jump on my tractor, fill it back in. That's just. So I might have to put some erosion stone, some big 3-inch minus and 7.5-inch minus on that side as we get going. Was just dirt before. And so got that massive storm, washed some of it out. So I put some 1.5-inch minus in there and then another couple inches of rain washed some of that out. So I'll put some bigger stone in there so it doesn't wash out anymore. Yep. Yeah, nobody wants that shoulder wash now. So get some good stone in there and upgrade it from where it was. And
Not there. I mean,
Okay,
the
that's,
road should be finished with minimal. Established and maintained.
Can you please put your microphone?
just leave it on, just leave it on.
The road should be finished with a minimum of 4 inches of crushed gravel with a properly established and maintained crown to direct water off the road. So,
Right now, the 16-foot is paved.
paved.
The paved, yeah, it's
That
paved for the
part's already
16-foot is paved. The
Okay.
shoulder is what washed out.
yeah, it's probably 20 to 25 feet wide on the flats. And then as it goes up the hill, it's paved 16 to 18 feet wide is paved. And so there's just one little part that washed out on the side that I can.
I hate to ignore the road agent. What about patching the pavement and, is that a possibility?
It's a possibility, like. What would be, is that like a cold patch that you put down on there? How is that, cause there's
He's suggesting existing pavement should be patched and
2 or 3 spots about this big on there that some of the pavement in the middle is kind of washed away a little bit. Everything else, it's a tar road with patches here and there. So, if that's a cold patch that you pound and so it's not gravel in the middle of the road, that's fine. I can do that.
Buy a bag of that at Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly. Get it at Home Depot. dig out some of the
Yeah.
gravel so you can get enough cold patch in there and pound it down, and that's easy enough.
We're willing to address the issues he has here.
Yep.
And I think that's good.
Yeah, I think those issues are, and some of the potholes in the gravel part, like, I've lived on the road for 6 years. It's half the time it's potholes, and then we grade it out, and I think it gets graded 3 or 4 times a year. And it rains, and
I realize these are minor things and not, no, we're at 10%, but if they address those issues,
Yep.
then I think I have.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
if it meets the standard, then you don't have to do 10%. That's what it was
Yeah,
about.
right. Yeah, it meets town standard at least up to, I'm not sure what it does past there. I think it squeezes up a little bit past there, but I'm past my property.
So the shoulder's already been repaired.
Yep.
Your point,
Yeah, I'll
John,
patch
is
the holes, that's
The
it.
patching is not a requirement?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I've
it
been in
says
touch with
16-foot
association, I
travel
live
way
right
and it
next
can
door.
be gravel.
So,
So if you got 16 to 18 feet of pavement,
so we sold the house. and I'm living in a
it's-
Camper now.
Well, it's not,
whether it's
Yeah,
patched or
decent
not
for
patched, it
6
still
years.
exceeds the
Not a
policy
whole,
requirements. The association has been doing quite a bit of work on the road. I know the Vista Way Hill, they were planning on grinding that up and repaving that this year, but some other stuff come up and they ended up not doing it because of, all the rain and stuff we've had that's caused other issues in the road.
okay, everybody's, agrees that this is fine. We want to word this.
Need a better recommendation, I'm sorry. That it's, are you recommending that it meets the
That it
town
meets the,
policy?
meets the town policy for category 3, straight category 3.
Yeah, so I would say you say it meets the policy as long as the gravel shoulder has been repaired and
Right.
he's willing to patch the potholes in the road. I think that goes along with,
The road
We're
maintenance.
talking about,
thing.
yeah.
Okay,
well, the road maintenance thing, the Berry River Long Shores Association has got one for the whole thing signed and recorded that we're able to use for all of them. Because they're doing the maintenance and there's a requirement because of that state law from 2 years ago that if you enjoyed the use of the road, you got to pay your
Right.
proportional share.
we can actually go
So,
to court.
Right, so right now you're actually a member of the association and pay the
Yeah, we've
dues.
been a
So
member for
he's
6
met the
years, but I live
requirements.
there, so.
Okay, could I have a vote on that?
Just for your eye?
Just a lot.
I got that one.
Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, good luck with the house.
The next select board meeting. No, I can't- it's like on the second one there. Okay, you probably know better. We're not supposed to promise. tonight, but- August 20th. Okay.
Okay, anything else before I go to item 10?
No, you
Oh, other business?
Yep.
Item number 9, other business that may, probably become before the board. Anything?
You gonna mention the, upcoming proposal?
Talking about the wetland.
Yep.
Thing.
Mention that.
Not quite sure how to describe it, but the 2 planning board members met with the Conservation Commission to talk about the amendments that they want to do to the 9.6 in the zoning ordinance. It was felt by, I'm gonna try to be neutral here, so, I mean, I have to be neutral, so I'll put it this way. The planning board members had felt that the Conservation Commission were doing not exactly what was agreed upon in the original scope of work. Stop me if I'm saying anything incorrectly. And they wanted to, the Conservation Commission wanted to still pursue to do a case study on a recent 9.6 that has already gone by, so that way there's no bias for it. But the reason they want to do is like there's a form or a data checklist is the best way I can describe it. So, and who does that fall on as far as staff wise? There was discussions about that. So we're gonna do a case study to see how that works to affect like the average homeowner. Because it seemed in the meeting that I would say the average homeowner, if I was doing it for myself, I don't know if I would feel confident in doing it, that to hire a professional Conservation Commission is saying that, no, that you don't need to hire a professional, they just need to follow this checklist or data form. So we're gonna do that, do a case file and see what the findings are from that, and then meet again with the consultant, and I guess not I guess, but go from there. I try to bring up about, from both sides, that the Conservation Commission may be supporting the way the direction is, but the planning board may not because of the potential burdens that we're putting on landowners or property owners. I don't know if there's anything missed or you want to add.
I can be more blunt.
Okay, thank you.
So what happened is all the stuff the planning board said that they didn't want that policy to be, that you were against, they wrote exactly what they said they wouldn't do. And then this whole bit about the landowner can fill the thing out. While the landowner has no clue what any of that stuff means. So how can a landowner do it themselves? And if you talk to the professionals, it's going to be $4,000 to $5,000 to do the assessment after you spend $4,000 or $5,000 to do another wetland delineation. So the idea that you can come in and ask for a waiver after you spend $10,000, and if you go to the point system, a wetland that has almost no value at all is going to exceed the point system to make it so you can't go less than 50, and 50 is what we got already before you start the waiver. The whole thing, in my mind, is totally ridiculous, but that's my personal opinion. Ken is no longer there.
At the meeting, but he's not the chair anymore.
John was on the committee. I don't know why he let this thing go off the tracks, but he did.
I told him right up front that we probably wouldn't even have the votes on the planning board.
Yeah.
That they gotta tread very carefully.
You know, to me,
That was
I don't know if
my
I feel
point.
strongly as John, but probably pretty close. You know, the waiver process is the same whether you're going 1 foot in the buffer or 40 feet into the buffer. So, you know, and it's a very, very long and complicated process. To me, what I thought what they were gonna do was they were gonna put a system together for themselves so they could give better recommendations to us. So this is a high value wetland, this is not a high value wetlands. So their recommendations to us would be better. This is, the homeowner does it all. And it's a no flexibility system. You get points and blah, blah, this is the way it is.
And it has to be
So-
verified by staff, and to be honest, and I'm not a qualified.
I don't
wetland.
think
It also, in my mind, eliminates,
the planning
What is
board
the- what
never
is-
has a problem with these 9/6s. We work around them.
well, I think the other thing too is, once again, what I said before, you know, what's the problem we're trying to solve?
Right.
Nobody has complained of any decisions we've made. So I think it's a solution looking for a problem, number one. Number two, I think it's costly, as John said. And number three, you know, what are the conservation, to me, I think our recommendation we get the Conservation Commission are inconsistent. Once in a while, they're good, but sometimes they don't comment at all. You know, sometimes they're weak. So to me, this was a way for them to give better recommendations.
It
They're
goes
pushing-
back
they're
to a
pushing- they're
meeting
pushing-
you
they're
had in
pushing it all to the
2018.
applicant.
I mean,
They're
it's
pushing it off the
the
applicant,
same stuff, right?
you know, so I don't think they have a job anymore. You know, if this is a hard point system, why are you presenting the Conservation Commission if you guys, you know, if it's a hard system, there's no decision being made. So what's your job? So-
What's going to happen if this goes through is right now, the 9.6, it gives you parameters that you guys look at when you do it. If that becomes a point to where that's unworkable, you're not going to get there, they'll go directly to the ZBA
Right.
and ask for a variance because they have a hardship. So instead of the planning board being able to look at the 9.6 and the criteria, and most of the time when you get a 9.6, it has an application as a site review or a subdivision or something that's involved in it. So you can look at the whole thing together as a whole. That's why Attorney Buckley thought it was a good idea that the planning board keeps it as that whole thing that you can do under innovative land use. And this other process, I got a choice. I can spend $10,000 or go directly to the ZBA.
Go to the
And show
ZBA,
I
you
got a
say it's
hardship. It's
I
a
can't do it,
hardship, yeah. I mean,
$10,000.
and that's what's gonna happen. And that's gonna hurt the planning board in your whole process doing your site review and subdivision regulations when there's a wetland buffer involved.
Well, unlike Ron, I'll say I feel as strongly as John.
If I might, not, just to point out from the Conservation Commission point of view, I see where they're coming from, that they are not sure what the implications may be past, you know, the buffer that's already in place, like there could be unknown
The
consequences.
thing I don't understand
But-
is them,
but-
pardon.
No, it's
over
okay,
the
that's what I'm
corrector.
saying,
No,
but
go ahead.
I mean, from staff point of view, and as you've all mentioned, I have not heard any complaints, well, that maybe people don't want to do the 9.6, but then that the 9.6 has not been working. I mean, there's no complaint that it's not working. Like,
Right.
Probably two owners of the process.
I just wanted to make sure I'm impartial here to,
In some of
Trying
the,
to-
some of the
Both.
criteria are like, within a 500, define all the impervious surfaces within 500 feet. That's a tough ask, number one, but what if 500 feet, do I have to do with the downstream stuff too? If it's hydrologically downstream, I gotta define that as well. So some of the criteria around, some of the questions they have and how they assign the points, point by point, I have a problem with that. So even the criteria themselves, I think could be argued in many different ways. So I don't think it's clear that the way they're laying it out is absolutely the right situation for every case.
It'd be impossible for me.
Right. And the whole notion behind this is to lessen the 50 feet. I mean, you get out to 35 feet. Well, it just doesn't seem to make sense that the Conservation Commission would be looking to reduce the requirements, even basic idea. They would,
If you look at the. basic
they
point-
supported going to 100 feet on a warrant article that was signed by all the members of the.
Yeah, if you look at their basic point system, a 50-foot buffer, if you go through that point system, is gonna show you need 65. So it's gonna show you need more of a buffer than is already required.
Yeah.
And they're asking for relief, and that's the reason why they started the process, after they spend $1,000. I mean, $10,000. No.
Yeah.
By the time, because I asked them straight up, would you just do this based on wetlands that are delineated like from an old subdivision? He goes, oh, no, we have to redo the wetlands too to make sure they're correct. So you're gonna do a wetland delineation, plus you're gonna do an assessment.
I said, if this is a process you want to go through, why don't you guys go through it? Oh, we can't do it, it's too much work, So once you're acquainted with the system, it's too much work for you guys to go through, but you want a layperson to one time through to go through this every single time? To me, it's a hard no. Not deal with.
Whoops.
And the way it's going, I think the cost is not gonna stay within the no bid out system.
Okay. Any other additional things to discuss before we adjourn? I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Next meeting will be August 1st for the public. Roll call,
That's your right.
Driscoll, aye. Thank you, everyone. It's been fun.